Hey everyone, and welcome back to Horror Movies for Life YouTube channel. And in this 1982 horror movie review video, we're going to take a look at a movie I do have the physical media for. I actually just added it a few months ago. Of course, this is part of my overall 1980s horror series where we're in the middle of 1982 right now. So the movie we're going to take a look at and review today is A Stranger is Watching from 1982. Um, More of a thriller movie, but it definitely has horror elements in it, I would say. So let's just talk about A Stranger is Watching from 1982 here. So, A Stranger is Watching is a 1982 American thriller film directed by Sean S Cunningham. And if that name sounds familiar, of course, he directed and really made his claim to fame on the original Friday the 13th a couple years before this. The screenplay was written by Earl Mac Rausch, Rausch and Victor Miller, based on the 1977 novel of the same name by Mary Higgins Clark. So, in this movie, you have an 11-year-old daughter and girlfriend. You have a man's 11-year-old daughter and his girlfriend, whose wife has been killed and has been raped and killed previously in front of his 11-year-old daughter 3 years earlier. So when she was 8, those two are kidnapped, the daughter and the girlfriend, by the same killer, held captive in a bunker below Grand Central Station. And the two plot their escape while the police try to track the kidnapper. That's the bulk of what the movie's about. So Steve Peterson's wife, Nina, is murdered in front of their young daughter, Julie. 3 years later, Julie's now 11 when she was 8 at first. Julie and Peterson's new girlfriend, Sharon Martin, are kidnapped by the same killer, the psychotic Artie Taggart. Taggart imprisons them in a bunker below Grand Central Station, throwing the police into a race against time to save them. So yeah, you can tell very much a thriller premise there. As far as the cast goes, we have Kate Mulgrew as Sharon Martin, Rip Torn as Artie Taggart, James Naughton as Steve Peterson, Sean Van Schreiber as Julie Peterson, Barbara Baxley as Lally, Stephen Joyce as Detective Taylor, and James Russo as Ronald Thompson. So yeah, that's the setup, the premise, the cast for A Stranger is Watching from 1982. I like this movie. I think this is a fine thriller movie. It's not overly great or unique, but it's also not bad. There's enough competence here in terms of filmmaking and story that it's a good watch. It's a good watch as a thriller movie goes. So let's just go ahead and talk about my review of it, starting with the things that I liked about A Stranger is Watching. And I think overall, as I was saying, it's a pretty overall effective suspenseful thriller with some horror elements in it. I really thought the kidnapper and the killer character of Artie, played by Rip Torn, was really effective. He's just a relentless killer that doesn't hold back. It doesn't hold back much in terms of dialogue or actions that he takes, which makes the stakes seem higher than a typical like made-for-TV thriller movie. As to whether this woman and girl were going to make it and ultimately escape, the stakes seem higher because of this killer, this kidnapper, and what he does, what he says. He's got kind of a potty mouth, but he's also got kind of a funny personality as well. I just thought it was a very interesting antagonist kind of character, played excellently by Rip Torn, who is more of a stand-up comedian. But that character of Artie Taggart, I think, makes this thriller movie work in a way that a lot of others don't, because you just don't have that much of a depthful bad guy, if you will, kidnapper and killer. So that's the first thing that really stood out to me in a positive manner. I thought the performances were good across the board, especially by Rip Torn, as I mentioned, and also Kate Mulgrew, who I know her from a lot of things. She guest starred in a lot of shows, Cheers in the mid-'80s. Of course, most people are going to know her as the captain from Star Trek Voyager, I believe it was. Which I did not watch that Star Trek. I was a Next Generation guy. I didn't watch Deep Space Nine or Voyager, all the Enterprise, all the ones that came out after that. But I do know that was her claim to fame later on, was as the star captain in Voyager. So she's really good in this movie. I think her and Rip Torn are the two strongest performers in this movie, but really everybody's fine. Even the little girl who I haven't seen anything else, the 11-year-old girl, Sean Van Schreiber, I thought she was fine as a child actress goes in a movie like this. I've seen worse, that's for sure. So yeah, good performances that really helped to make this movie more plausible. But I thought Rip Torn and Kate Mulgrew played the most interesting and kind of complex characters in the movie, so that's why that's why they stood out to me. I liked the underground Grand Central Station setting with the rats, the homeless people, the subway trains involved, and overall the overall dirtiness and sleazy look to where they're being held prisoner here. I thought that was kind of different and unique for this kind of movie, so I really liked the setting. There are a number of on-screen kills with a fair amount of blood. That also helps to raise the overall tension and stakes in the movie. That's also a little bit more of the horror aspect, I would say. Even though it's a thriller movie, it's got some horror elements to it, like those kills go. There's a pretty good sense of tension throughout most of the movie, like when the characters are trying to escape, of course, a couple different times from this, where they're being held captive down underneath Grand Central Station, when they're initially kidnapped in the house. Some pretty decent tension-filled scenes there. And then I also have to mention there's some funny lines delivered at times in this movie, mostly by Artie, talking about his ranch and wanting to have... what was it? He didn't want chickens. He said they're dumb shits or something like that, which I thought was funny. He was all about the, was it horses? Or what the hell did he want to have on his ranch? I don't even remember now. I don't know. I just remember the line about chickens, dumb shits. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of funny. Also, he's confronted with a bunch of young, like, I don't know, they're probably early 20-something-year-olds, like, gang that want to take his money, and he initially tells, like, the head gang member to take a hike, basically, and not so on certain terms, and then they confront him in this public bathroom, and they have a fight that was a pretty action-packed and interesting scene that also had a few humorous moments in it. So yeah, I think the character of Artie's the biggest claim to fame for this movie, played by Rip Torn. But those are my pros for A Stranger Is Watching. As far as cons go, I will say some of those on-screen kills look kind of cheesy, like the hammer to the head that we get early on with the wife when she's killed. That basically looks like he's just putting a hammer and holding it against her head, not so much like a strong, impactful kill. There's a knife that's being thrown at somebody that just happens to land in the right place to kill him. Not really that realistic as far as the kills go. Kind of weak effects on him, more so than anything. The effects are just kind of weak. They really didn't need to have the shower scene early on in the movie with a topless 11-year-old girl. That felt kind of uncomfortable and unnecessary. Now, I mean, it's not like they show everything. She's kind of like this. But I mean, what's the point of that? I mean, it was just she screams for a minute because the water was too cold or something. So that's supposed to be like, I don't know if that's supposed to be like a cheap potential kidnapping kind of scare, or the guy's back or something. I'm not really sure, but I thought that whole scene was uncomfortable and unnecessary. A little bit of a plot hole confusion, the whole kidnapping. Didn't quite understand why the killer kidnaps the same little girl where he killed her mom a few years earlier. What was the reason for that? I know it was money. He was trying to get the $182,000 specifically, I think it was. But then the girl figures out and remembers who he is. It didn't make a lot of sense. He could have gotten away with his initial crime, but I guess he really wanted the money from this particular family. So, I don't know. That was just a little bit of a weird plot twist or contrivance, if you will. So, I don't know. But other than that, I can't really say anything else bad about the movie. I mean, the ending is a little bit... You have the slow-mo, what do you call it? Like not slow motion, but like a freeze frame. That's what I'm trying to say. The freeze frame ending I could have done without, but it's kind of whatever. That's a little nitpick. I think as a thriller movie, this is good. Just know that even though Sean S Cunningham directed this movie, don't go into it expecting to see Friday the 13th. because it's not a slasher movie. It even says it's a thriller movie that has horror elements in it. And even though there are on-screen kills, like I said, they're a lot cheesier and don't hold up as well as the ones in Friday the 13th. But there is some blood involved, not as much as Friday the 13th, but just kind of know that going in. But if you're looking for like a sleazy New York City below-ground thriller with some pretty good performances and an interesting character by the bad guy, then check out A Stranger Is Watching. I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. As a thriller movie, I think it's pretty effective. You just kind of have to know what you're going into. But I think this movie also exists on a Blu-ray, but I'm pretty happy with this DVD that I got here. It only has a theatrical trailer, language, and subtitle options as far as... special features or anything. There really aren't anything special. They're just kind of the typical standard sort of options there. But 7 out of 10 for A Stranger Is Watching from 1982. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen this movie, what you think of it. Do you like it? Do you not? Why not? Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and if you can, it would really help me out if you could subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already, it would really help out the channel for future content and things. So, with all that being said, I hope you're enjoying this stroll down 1982 horror and thrillers reviews, and as always, stay scared. Bye.